The Hyundai Genesis Coupe has only been with us for a few short years, and it's already getting a major facelift and power updates. Not to be confused with the Genesis sedan, the Coupe shares the name only. This is a driver's car, where the sedan is a luxury cruiser. Now, Hyundai has done very well since this car has come into the market. It's the bestseller in the import two-door coupe category. And there's not a lot of cars in this category. Where have all of the two-door coupes gone? There's no Toyota Celica anymore. There's no Toyota Supra. The S2000 from Honda is gone, as is the 240 SX from Nissan. Yes, we have some new entries in the market, the BRZ from Subaru and the FRS from Scion, but they're kind of late to the party. It really is the domestic manufacturers that have been championing the coupe with their pony cars. As we've seen with the introduction of the Veloster hatchback from Hyundai, they're not shy about trying new things and even inventing their own categories. Hyundai has gone to a very fluid design architecture. They actually call it fluidic sculpture. The way they describe it is the way that water shapes stones as it flows over top of it over thousands of years. It's interesting that this Genesis Coupe is signaling a slight shift away from the delicate and refined look to a more powerful and aggressive stance. The pointy nose has been squashed, providing a blunt and now blackened front bumper. The hood has more accent lines and two faux air intakes. The car looks wider and is accentuated by large 18 or 19-inch wheels that fill the sexy fenders. The wheels are staggered, meaning the back wheels are wider than the fronts for a more powerful stance. Now, the original Genesis Coupe was a great value story, but the interior really needed some updating, and it has been. The center stack now comes with a 3-dial cluster to show engine stats, and it's framed by a brushed charcoal material that looks first-rate. There is a large amount of soft-touch materials throughout the cabin, and the leather seats look and feel fantastic. Tilt and telescopic steering comes standard, but heated seats are only available on the 2-liter premium trim and on this top V6 model. Bluetooth auxiliary jack comes standard, but sat radio and navigation are extra. Now, the base model Hyundai Genesis Coupe comes with cloth seats, and it starts at $26,499. In order to get leather, you have to get the premium on the 2-liter turbo. That's $29,899. Now, this is the GT V6. It's $36,999, so almost $37,000. But you don't get power seat backs. You get power bottom here, but you have to do this manually. Now, I'm not so precious that that's too much work for me to do. That's not the issue. Is I want my seat to be somewhere between the two cogs here, and you can do that with power seats. It's interesting, where most car companies would do a mid-cycle refresh with just styling, Hyundai has added a horsepower fiesta in both the 4- and 6-cylinder motors. The 2-liter motor is now rated at a whopping 274 horsepower, the same unit that's used in the Sonata sedan turbo. Having only driven that motor in the sedan, I can only imagine how lively it'll make this coupe feel. The 3.8-liter V6 seen in this test car is updated with direct injection technology for an increase of 42 horsepower to 348. Hyundai has also moved to a 6-speed manual or 8-speed automatic in both the 4- and 6-cylinder offerings, which provides a lot of combinations for potential buyers. Now, this new 6-speed manual transmission is a pretty slick shifting unit, but it's on uptake with the clutch that it can be a little bit grabby, and it takes some finesse to learn how to apply the clutch. That's one thing. Also, 348 horsepower is the number that's rated for this new V6 engine. It sounds fantastic on paper, but in real life, it doesn't feel like 348 horsepower. Now, we don't have the 4-cylinder turbo here, but it is lighter, and that might be the way to go. This Hyundai Genesis Coupe is a perfect example of how Hyundai is always pushing. They never stop. With 2 new engines and 2 new transmissions, updated styling and better interior, this would constitute a whole new model for many other car manufacturers. Now, I find this new Genesis Coupe to be a much more satisfying car to drive in everyday situations. The previous model had a choppy suspension. The old V6 was kind of buzzy, and it always let you know that you were driving a sportier car. This car now, with the modified suspension, is still sporty, but it's a little bit more subdued. And the engine isn't as noisy, which makes the car better to live with day to day. When you thrash it around, get the revs up and shift the gears manually, that's when you have some fun. But you don't want to do that all the time. That's what makes this car livable. You know what? I was expecting to be blown away by this car. 348 horsepower. Yeah, it's lively and it's fun to drive and it's low to the ground, but it doesn't feel earth-shattering. Here's the thing. For the money they're charging for this V6 version of the Hyundai Coupe, you can go and get a Mustang GT 5-liter V8 with over 400 horsepower. Now that is exciting. The 2-liter turbo is the volume seller in the Hyundai Genesis, and it might just be the better car.
Hyundai has lots of competitors in this segment. See all the reviews at drivingtelevision.com.